Hey guys, thank you for joining us for another video. What we're going to be doing today is we'll be focusing on all of our best bets for week 7 of the 2024 college football season. We're going to go over every single top 25 game breakdown, every matchup, try to predict the outcome, who's going to win, who's going to lose, what the final score will be. But we'll be focusing on that best bets. That's the money lines, the spreads, and the over-unders. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed. If you have any comments about any of these games or anything else, drop them below and I will respond. Every week we go over every single college football game, the top 25 ones and the non-top 25 ones, and we also go over every single NFL game as well. If you're a college football fan, if you are a sports fan in general, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed so you can follow along with us. Like I said, we'll be focusing on our best bets. Let's go ahead and get started running through these games. We have about 17 matchups, so we're going to get started. The very first one we have kicking everything off is actually a Friday night game, Friday at 10:30, October 11th on ESPN. Number 16 Utah Utes sitting at 4-1, coming off the bye here. They should be well rested. They'll be on the road versus 4-1 Arizona State. Kenny Dillingham's team is having a really good start to their season so far. Right now, Utah is the favorite. They have a 51.4% chance to win this game. They are 4.5-point favorites. The over-under here is 45.5. This is going to be a close one. The biggest question, the biggest issue, the biggest unknown: will Cam Rising be playing this game? We have no clue. That's the same question for years now. The guy's in his 15th year of college football. He has a whole family, kids, and he hasn't played, maybe 15% of his whole college career. He's had the Utah program on lockdown basically the whole time he's been there because their offense has been waiting for if he's going to play or not. He's been hurt his whole career. He hurt his finger. Every week, same story. He's questionable. He'll be suited up, might play. He doesn't play. Same thing over and over. Isaac Wilson hasn't done bad filling in. He's closing in on 900 yards, 6 touchdowns, 7 picks. It's the turnovers that's a major issue there. Without Cam Rising leading the helm on offense, this offense is nowhere near the same, but they're going to be a run-focused team with Bernard, and they have Singer catching the ball. They still have their defense. They have a top 20 defense that they can rely on. Utah averages 28.4, and they're only giving up 15 points a game, and that's with an offense that has not been moving the ball the last few games. For Arizona State, one of the surprise teams of the season so far, they're averaging 33.2. They have a solid defense giving up 23.8, but they're only giving up 96 rushing yards a game. So they're going to stack that line. They're going to try to shut down Bernard. If it's Wilson, they're going to force him to have to beat them vertically through the air. They can also throw the ball. They have Lovett. They have Scapo closing on 700 yards rushing. They're a multi-tool team. I'm going to go out on a limb here saying there's a probability Cam Rising plays, although I'm getting sick of saying that. I have Utah winning this one 28-20. If Cam Rising plays, I have them covering that spread, and I'm going with the over. We'll now move on to our Saturday games. The next one we have kicking things off Saturday morning at 12 p.m. on ABC. We have 3-2 South Carolina Gamecocks coming off of getting dragged up and down the field by Ole Miss. They'll be playing 4-1 number 7 Alabama Crimson Tide, coming off of that massive upset at the hands of the Vanderbilt Commodores. The biggest question here is, how does Alabama respond coming off of that emotional loss to Vanderbilt? We know that they did not respond well off of the emotional win versus Georgia. Kalen DeBoer has to get the guys rounded up. He has to get them back on track, circle the wagons, get everyone's mind back on the game. This is an extremely talented team, the number 1 overall talented team according to ESPN. He has to get everyone back to being focused. This is going to test him. This is what made Saban so great was, you always got the same performance week in, week out over decades. They never let you down with what they were giving on the field. Kalen DeBoer has to get them back to being focused here. They just lost a big one. They can't drop their second game right now, and they still haven't even played Texas yet. But this is 2 teams searching for this win. Shane Beamer's definitely feeling the heat, but this is a talented team. This is a South Carolina team that lives on upsets. They're known for upsetting top 10 teams, but they're going to be on the road here. South Carolina comes in. They're averaging 28 points a game. Solid defense giving up 19 points a game. They have Sellers. They have Sanders. They have Bennett Jr. We know who Alabama is. They had the Heisman frontrunner, Milroe. He's probably dropped down since that last game, but he has more than enough games to make up the ground. He's closing in on 1,300 yards passing. They have Miller at running back, and they have one of the best freshmen ever, Ryan Williams, making massive important catches in crunch time. This is a team that's well balanced. They can throw, they can run. They're still averaging 44.6 a game, throwing for 286.6, running for 194.2. And their defense is not the Saban defense of old. They are giving up 20 points a game, 221 through the air, 128.6 on the ground. This is a team that's lost the battle at the line of scrimmage the last few games. That's what Alabama was known for. They have to get that physicality back. They have to get the defense back on track. Giving up 20 per game is not bad for a normal team, but for Bama, that's not going to cut it, especially when you have Texas coming up soon. Get the problems fixed now so that you're ready for the Texas game. I have Bama cruising here, winning this one 44-20, covering the spread. That's a massive SEC spread, though, and I will be going with the over. Our next matchup is some ACC on ACC action at 12 p.m. on ESPN. Number 10, back to the top 10. Clemson sitting at 4-1. They'll be on the road versus 2-3 Wake Forest coming off of that win versus NC State. Right now, Clemson has a 87.4% chance to win this game. Massive 20-point favorites here. The over-under is 56.5. Clemson, since they got curb stomped by the Georgia Bulldogs, has been a completely different team, especially on the offensive side. Year 2 under Riley, they're finally starting to get a lot of things in motion. They are able to throw the ball vertically down the field, pushing the ball down the field. They're also having a lot of success running the wall. Cade Klubnik closing in on 1,300 yards passing. They have Maffa closing in on 500 yards on the ground. They have Williams. He's their number one threat at the wide receiver position. Right now, they're averaging 39.4, throwing for 275.6, running for 196.4. That's the numbers Dabo wanted to see when he hired Riley. Props to both of them. And they have the number 7 overall roster according to ESPN. Very talented team. They have a top 10 defense. They are giving up 23.2 points per game. That's not top 10 statistically, but we know every game they're getting better and better, and that number's getting lower and lower. They'll be playing Wake Forest. They don't have a bad offense led by Bachmeier. He's closing in on 1,400 yards. They're averaging 30.6 per game, throwing for 292.2. Their biggest issue is they're giving up 31 points a game. Every time they score, they give up a score. They give up 300 yards passing a game. They give up 169 rushing yards per game. There's going to be a lot of opportunities here for the Clemson offense to continue to roll. I have Clemson winning this one 41-20, covering the spread. And again, I'm going with the over here. The next game we are looking at has to be a rebound game for the Missouri Tigers. On ESPN2 at 12 p.m., number 21 Missouri at 4-1, dropping all the way out of the top 10 down to number 21. They have to win this game. They have to get things back on track on both sides of the ball. They'll be playing the 1-5 UMass Minutemen. This is a very weird game. Missouri's traveling to UMass. Very odd, but nonetheless, this is the game that you want to rebound with because UMass is, let's be honest, they're awful. Missouri's big-time favorites here, 95.2% chance to win this game. They are 27.5-point favorites. The over-under is 52.5. They have the weapons. Cook, Noel, Weiss Jr., Bird, and they just have to get everyone back to being on the same page. Last week has to be as bad as they played this season. The only way to go is up from here. They have an easy schedule going forward. Just stay focused game by game. Keep building. They can kind of sleepwalk to 10-2 this season. Right now, they're averaging 31.2, throwing for 258.4, running for 178.8. Solid defensive play, giving up 17.8 points a game. UMass, they don't do anything good. Their offense, they're only averaging 19.2, and their defense is giving up 31.3 points a game. This is the game Missouri wants to rebound with. You're playing a team that in no way has the talent that you have. Get everything back on track this game. Blow them out. I have Missouri winning this one 44-10, covering that massive spread and going with the over. The next match we're looking at is the big one of the best rivalry in college football, the Red River rivalry at 3:30 p.m. on ABC Network. This game is going to be an awesome one. Number 1, back to being number 1, Texas Longhorns, undefeated 5-0. They'll be playing number 18, Oklahoma, sitting at 4-1. Both teams had the bye. Both teams are rested. Both teams needed it. So obviously with Texas, Quinn Ewers has missed the last 2.5 games. They had Manning filling in. As of right now, they haven't necessarily named a starter for this game. I don't know that it necessarily matters, but Quinn Ewers is supposedly on pace to be able to possibly start Saturday. So I'm going to say that he starts. He is healthy, but they don't need to kind of put everything on his shoulders right now. You don't want him to re-aggravate it. You want him to be safe. But worst case scenario, you still have Arch Manning there. So there's still a massive weapon at the backup position. Texas, is playing like the best team in the nation so far this season. They're averaging 45 points a game. They're throwing for 326.4. They're running for 191.4. And a lot of that was with their backup. Quinn Ewers is back right now. Solid defensive play, a top 10 defense, only giving up 7 points a game. Texas can beat you multiple ways. Passing, throwing, and on defense, as well as special teams. They have Ewers, they have Manning, they have Blue, they have Bond. Multiple weapons on Steve Sarkisian's team. They are built. They want to win this game. They have their sights on winning the SEC, the first season in the SEC. Oklahoma, they come limping into this game. Obviously, this is a very talented team, the number 11 team, but Texas is top 5 right now. But Brent Venables has recruited this team. He has worked the portal. This is a talented team, especially on defense. Their biggest issue, as of right now, is their offense. Seth Luttrell and company, they're having a lot of issues moving the ball, getting first downs. Whether it's Jackson Arnold, whether it's Hawkins Jr., we don't know who's going to play quarterback this game. Doesn't really matter. The quarterback position has not worked out for Oklahoma this season since they lost Dylan Gabriel from a last year's team. Right now, they're averaging 28.6, throwing for 184.4, running for 128.6, and solid defense, a top 20 defense, giving up 16 points a game. The defense is what's going to keep them in this game. This is a rivalry game. Throw all those stats out the window. Anything can happen in this game. Right now, Texas 14-point favorite. The over-under here is 49.5. I have Texas winning this one. 30-20. The defense keeping it close. These guys are going to fight. They're going to leave it all on the field this game. I have Texas winning, but not covering the spread, and I'm just barely going with the over there. This next matchup is going to be a fun one. This is a new Big Ten rivalry. This has Rose Bowl written all over it at 3:30 p.m. on CBS. Number 4, Penn State, 5-0. They'll be on the road playing USC, 3-2. USC is now freshly out of the poll, but they definitely want to get themselves back in it. They don't want to drop to 500. Right now, USC has a 51.9% chance to win this game, but it's Penn State who is the Vegas favorite. 5.5-point favorites here. The over-under in this game is 53.5. This is going to be a tough game because even though there's a pretty decent spread there, this is anyone's game. Both teams have decent offenses, and when you have Lincoln Riley on one side, the best offensive mind in all of college football, anything can happen. If this game turns into a shootout, they always have a puncher's chance. Looking at Penn State squad under James Franklin, this is a legitimately talented team, 10-2 every single season. They have a top 10 roster. They have a top 10 defense led by Tim Allen. They have a new offense. It's worked wonders for Drew Aller so far. He's closing in on 1,200 yards. They have one of the best 1-2 punches at the running back position. They have Singleton. They have Allen. 1-2. Both guys can get 15, 20 carries, and they're going to seek to run it down USC's throat. They have Warren at the wide receiver position. For USC, they have Miller Moss closing in on 1,400 yards. Too many turnovers. He has 9 touchdowns, 4 picks. Just cut the turnovers down. This is a Penn State defense. They're going to get after it. They're going to be aggressive. They have Marks at running back. The guy can run it. He can catch it out the backfield. They have Lane, Branch, a talented wide receiver core. Right now, Penn State averages 34.4. They run for 217.8. They throw for 252. They're averaging almost 500 yards a game. They're going to try to wear USC out, win the second half. Solid defense, giving up 11.4 points a game. Solid physical defense. USC, they average 30.8. They throw for 302.2. They run for 149.6. And a great defense under D'Anton Lynn. Year one, they have worked wonders. They're only giving up 18.4 points a game. I have Penn State winning this one in a close one that's going to go down to the fourth quarter, just like the Michigan game. I have them winning this one 27-24. I do not have them covering the spread. I'm going with the under. If USC won this game, though, I would not be surprised. This is two really good offenses, very talented teams, great coaches, but I have Penn State's physicality winning the late second half. The next matchup we're looking at is a rivalry game at 3:30 p.m. on NBC. 2-3 Stanford Cardinals playing 4-1 number 11 Notre Dame, wanting to continue to keep climbing in the poll. They had that loss to NIU. They cannot afford to drop another game this season. Their schedule is too easy. They don't have a conference championship. If they go 10-2, they're probably not going to make the playoffs. They have to win out. They have to win impressively. Right now, Notre Dame has a 96.1% chance to win this game. Big time favorites here, 23.5-point favorites. Over under is 48.5. When you're looking at Stanford's squad here, this is a team that has a lot of turnovers, let's say. knows that Stanford, Daniels, they can throw it, they can run it, they get down to the red zone, they turn the ball over. They average 23 a game. Their defense leaves a lot to be desired. They're giving up 27.2 points a game, 282.2 yards through the air. Their secondary gives up a lot of points, but they have a solid rush defense, only giving up 86.8 yards per game. Notre Dame, they average 32.4. They throw for 181.8. They keep the ball on the ground. They run for 214. Solid defense, a top 10 defense under Al Golden. They're giving up 12.6 points a game on the defensive side. They have Denbrock as the offensive coordinator. Freeman has his boys focused. I said since Riley Leonard was at Duke, the guy cannot throw the ball. He's an awful quarterback to me. He has a 55% completion for his career. His strength is running the ball. Keep this game on the ground. Run it with Leonard. When you have to throw it, play action. You have Love at the running back position. This is a talented team, but they're only going to win this on the ground and on the back of their defense. I have Notre Dame winning this one easily, 33-13, not covering the spread, going with the under, but that is a massive spread there. This next game is going to be a fun one on ESPN at 3:30 p.m. 3-2 Cal Bears, coming off of that emotional loss versus Miami, where they had the game and they let it slip away. They'll be playing number 22, welcome to the top 25, Pitt. They are 5-0. They have a 68.6% chance to win this game. 3.5-point favorites. Over under here is 58.5. This is going to be a fun game. Cal is a run defensive focused team. Pitt, they don't play too great a defense this season, but boy, can they throw the ball, and they score in bunches. Looking at these two squads, you have Cal coming in here. They're averaging 26 points a game. They throw for 262. They run for 131.2. They have a solid defense. They're only giving up 18 points a game. They have 11 interceptions on the season. They lead the nation in turnovers on defense. Props to them. They have Mendoza throwing the ball. They have Thomas. They have Hunter. For Pitt, this is a team under Pat Narduzzi that loves to air it out. They've changed their offense. It's worked wonders. They're averaging 45.6 points a game. They have Holstein at the quarterback position, closing in on 1,600 yards, 15 touchdowns, and only 3 picks. They have Reed at running back. They have Mumfield at wide receiver. They're throwing for 356. They're running for 184.4. They're averaging almost 550 yards a game. Their defense is giving up 25.2. Thankfully, their offense should be able to carry the day here. I have Pitt winning this one 34-24, covering the spread, but I'm just barely going with the under. The next game we're looking at on Fox Sports 1 at 3:30 p.m. We have 1-4 Purdue. Purdue has nothing going for them, unfortunately, right now. Their offense is playing really bad. Their defense is playing twice as worse as their offense. They'll be playing number 23, the Fighting Illini, 4-1, Brett Bielema's team. We know they're going to be a physical. We know they're going to play the game at the line of scrimmage. Right now, the Fighting Illini have a 91.9% chance to win this game. 21.5-point favorites. That's a massive spread here for a Big Ten game. The over-under here is 48.5. Looking at Purdue, they average 18.6 points per game on offense. They give up 36.8. They give up twice as many points as they score. It's been a rough season for Card, Claire. A lot of issues moving the ball, especially vertically down the field. They don't pass it especially well. They'll be playing a really tough team, a team that's going to get after the quarterback. There's not going to be much time here for Purdue to be able to throw the ball. They're going to get sacks. They're going to be aggressive. We have the Fighting Illini. They average 27.2. They throw for 233.4. They run for 132. But the Fighting Illini are only giving up 14.2 points per game. They're going to get after it. I have them winning this one 30-13, not covering that big spread, and I'm also going with the under. And the next game we're looking at, this is a tough one at 4 p.m. on Fox. 3-2 Arizona, who's a lot better roster-wise than their record shows. They'll be playing number 14 BYU, 5-0. This game is going to be in the mountains. Anything can happen when a team travels up to BYU. Right now, the Cougars have a 67.7% chance to win this game. They are 5-point favorites. The over-under here is 49.5. We know for Arizona, they have a new coach. They have a new scheme. Still, they're able to vertically push the ball down the field. They have Fafita. They have McMillan. They have Conley at the running back position. This is one of the best quarterback-wide receiver combos in the country. But outside of that, they do leave a lot to be desired. They're averaging 27 points a game. They're throwing for 281.2. They're running for 146.2. Their defense is giving up 23.6. Like I said, they're a lot better than their record actually shows, but BYU's been really tough. But this is actually one of those games that they usually lose. The game that they're supposed to win, the game that they're favored in, sneaks up on them because Arizona can score. If they catch fire, they could upset this game. Right now, BYU, they average 33 points a game. They only give up 15.8 points a game. One of the most balanced, well-rounded teams in the nation. A potential underdog team they might win the Big 12 this season, and then they would be looking at a playoff scenario. Crazy. BYU could win the Big 12 this season. They could make the playoffs. They have Retzlaff. He is the leading passer. He's the leading rusher. They have Roberts. I have BYU winning this one. 30-23, covering the spread, going with the over. I think this game is going to be close to the end of the fourth quarter, and that's when BYU exerts their dominance and they take the game. The next game we're looking at on the SEC Network at 4:15, 1-4 at Mississippi State. This is probably the worst team in the SEC right now, led by Jeff Lebby, but he is completely flipping this roster, completely rebuilding this team in his image. Right now, Mississippi State, they'll be playing number 5 Georgia Bulldogs, 4-1, the team that was number 1 2 weeks ago, fighting to get back up there. They are 4-1. The Bulldogs have a 95.2% chance to win this game. This is a massive SEC spread here. They're 33.5 point favorites. The over-under is 52.5. I hate these massive in-conference spreads. It's very hard to cover them. Right now for Mississippi State, they average 27.4 points a game. They throw for 268. They run for 136.6. Their defense, they give up 31.6 points a game. There's going to be a lot of opportunities for Georgia to be able to get that offense going. It's been kind of dragging the whole season. Mississippi State, they have Shapen, they have Daniels, they have Coleman Jr. We know Georgia's roster, the number 2 overall roster according to ESPN. They are talented. They're averaging 32 points a game. That's not bad. That's not good. That's just kind of down the middle. They are led by Carson Beck. They have Etienne at the running back position. They have Smith. Right now they're throwing for 299.6. They're only for running for 131.6 yards per game on the ground. That used to be Georgia's specialty, running the ball downhill. Not so much this season. They have to get back to that. They have to have a physical game at the line of scrimmage. Their line was dominated by Alabama. They have to fix that issue. They still have Texas here. They don't want to drop to 10-2 this season. You don't want to be on the outlier of one of those playoff teams. Stay at 1 loss. Worst case scenario, 2 losses. Get the running game fixed. Win the games at the line of scrimmage. But still, solid defense, giving up 14.4 points a game. I have Georgia continuing to rebound here, continuing to slowly get better on offense, winning this game 42-13. Not covering the massive spread, but still going with the over. That is a massive in-conference spread. Then next game, we're going to look at one of the best rivalries in college football at 7 p.m. on ESPN. 3-2 Florida Gators, who have actually caught fire the last few games. Props to them. Billy Napier's probably feeling pretty hot right now, but the schedule is only now starting to get tough. They'll be on the road versus number 8 Tennessee Volunteers, 4-1. Their offense has lacked the last 2 games. They are coming off of that surprise loss to Arkansas, but still, you don't want to sleep on them. Tennessee has a 86.9% chance to win this game. 15.5 point favorites. That's a big spread for a rivalry game. The over-under here is 53.5. Looking at Florida, they're running a 2-quarterback system right now. They have DJ Lagway. They have Mertz. It's been working so far, mainly due to the running game. They've gotten the running game going. They have Montreal Johnson Jr. They have Badger as the wide receiver. They're averaging 30.2 points a game, throwing for 276.4. They are running for 142.6. And their defense, much improved over last season. They're only giving up 24.4 points a game. Looking at Tennessee, obviously a top 10 team. You have Josh Heupel, one of the best offensive minds in all of college football. You have a top 10 offense, a top 10 defense, as well as a team that's top 10 in sacks. They get after it. The offense hasn't scored over 25 the last 2 games, and still they're averaging 46 points a game, throwing for 258.6, running for 267.2. A very balanced team, averaging in the 500s every game on offense, and their defense is elite, only giving up 9.4. Tennessee, like I mentioned, they haven't scored over 25 in 2 straight games. They're bound to have a breakout game, but still, that's a massive spread when it's a rivalry game. Florida's feeling very confident here, but they have to win this game. They have to get a bowl game, or Napier's probably getting fired, and their SEC schedule going forward for the second half it is the toughest I've ever seen. I have Tennessee getting some things figured out this week, getting back on track, winning this one 34-17, covering the spread, but going with the under. This next game I'm super excited for, the game of the year so far. Number 2 versus number 3 at 7:30 p.m. on NBC. Number 2, Ohio State, 5-0, undefeated. They'll be playing number 3, Oregon Ducks, 5-0, undefeated. 2 versus 3, Big Ten on Big Ten. Welcome to the Big Ten, Oregon Ducks. This is 2 of the top 5 rosters in all of college football. This is going to be a fun one. This is going to be a good one. Right now, the Buckeyes come cruising in here as looking like potentially the number 1 team in the nation right now. They're right there with Texas. They're averaging 46 points a game. They're throwing for 293.4. They're running for 222.8. Elite throwing, passing the ball. They have Will Howard at the quarterback position, closing in on 1,300 yards. He has, 12 touchdowns, 3 picks. 1 pick in his last 3 games straight. He needs to end that streak here. You don't want to give Oregon any short fields. They have one of the best, if not the best, 1-2 running back punch. Quinton Junkins, Henderson, they both get 10, 15 carries. Very physical running backs. It's going to be very hard for Oregon to stop the Buckeyes running. But Oregon has a really good defensive line. They have Smith. They have Egbuka. Smith is lighting things up as a true freshman. Looks like the best true freshman I've ever seen at the wide receiver position. But Oregon, they're right there with him. They have the Heisman frontrunner coming into the season, Dillon Gabriel. He's not at the top of the conversation right now, but if they win this game, he definitely will be. They're averaging 35 points a game. They're throwing for 305.2. They're running for 164.4. And great defensive play, giving up 17 points a game. Looking at their playmakers, they have Dillon Gabriel, they have James, they have Johnson, they have Stewart. Playmakers up and down the field. Their biggest issue has been the offensive line. Getting push, protecting Dillon Gabriel, giving him time to vertically push the ball down the field. They've been dunking it the whole season. Not because guys aren't open, but he hasn't had time to be able to throw the ball deep. They have to get that fixed, but the Buckeyes are not going to make that easy. Ryan Day, Chip Kelly, Knowles, probably one of, if not the best coaching staff in the nation. They're going to be dialing it up. They had the number 3 defense last season. They brought back 8 starters. They have the best defense in the country, only giving up 6.8 per game. Defense travels on the road, but Oregon's a tough place to play. But I have to go with the Buckeyes winning this one in a close one. 30-23, covering the spread. I'm going with the over here. This game could go either way. It's practically 50-50. Thankfully for the loser, whoever wins this team, you're probably going to rematch them in the Big Ten Championship, and it's hard to beat the same team twice. This next game is going to be a fight one, a ranked-on-ranked matchup, 7:30 p.m. on ABC. Number 9, Ole Miss, 5-1, getting things back on track last weekend with their win versus South Carolina, but they did lose to Kentucky 2 weeks ago. Thankfully, they got that loss out the way. They have their mind focused right now. They'll be playing number 13, LSU, 4-1, coming off the bye. Right now, Ole Miss has a 67.6% chance to win this game. 3.5-point favorites. This is going to be a close one. The over-under here, 66.5. This is going to be a shootout. This has fun game written all over it. Ole Miss comes cruising into this game right now with one of the best offensive rosters in the nation. They're averaging 44 points a game. They're throwing for 383.2 yards per game, led by Jackson Dart. He has 2,100 yards through the first 6 games, 13 touchdowns, 2 picks. But they can also run it with Parrish Jr. closing in on 600 yards. They throw for 383.2. They run for 204. They have Trey Harris closing in on 900 yards receiving. Video game numbers on offense for this team. And solid defensive play, only giving up 7.5 points a game and only 63.7 rushing yards per game. That's their strength, is their defensive line. They're going to make it tough for the Tigers to be able to run the ball. For LSU, this is a very talented team that can run the ball. They can throw the ball. They come in, they're averaging 35.2, throwing for 342.6, running for 130.4. Like I said, Ole Miss will make it hard to run on them. LSU has to beat them vertically through the air. They have the weapons. They have Nussmeier, Durham, Anderson. Their defense much improved with Blake Baker over last year's defense. They're only giving up 21.6 points a game. This is a potential upset alert game for Ole Miss here because this is a team that can match you talent-wise, blow for blow. I have Lane Kiffin's team pulling it out in the end. Jackson Dart wants that Heisman. I have Ole Miss winning it 38-30, covering the spread, and I'm still going to go with that massive over. Next is some Big 12 on Big 12 on Fox at 8 p.m. Undefeated Iowa State, number 11, 5-0. props to Matt Campbell's team. They'll be playing 3-2 West Virginia, who's actually getting hot right now. This roster is a lot better than that 3-2 record. Neil Brown last season won 9 wins. He wants to have a hot second half just like they had last season. Right now, Iowa State has a 54.6% chance to win this game. 3-point favorites. Over under here is 50.5. Iowa State has Becht. They have Jackson. They have Noel, a physical team with an elite top 10 defense. They're averaging 31.2. Becht having a great season. They're throwing for 248.8. They're running the ball for 183.4. They're only giving up 10 points a game. Matt Campbell loves physical lines of scrimmage. That's what this team is built on. But West Virginia, they've gotten hot the last few weeks. They're averaging 33 points a game. They're throwing for 225.8, running for 223. Very, very balanced. Their defense is giving up 25.6. They have Green. They have Donaldson Jr. They have Clement. I'm calling upset here. Iowa, I love them. Great season so far. They may very well win the Big 12 this season and make the playoffs, but I have their 5-0 streak ending here. Upset. West Virginia wins this one 27-24. The spread's not covered, and I'm going with the over. And if you're up this late, stay up to watch this next game at 10:15 p.m. on ESPN. Number 18, Kansas State 4-1. They'll be playing the Colorado Buffaloes 4-1. If Kansas State loses this, they're out of the top 25, and they lose their chance to win the Big 12. This would be their second conference loss. They don't want that to happen, but Colorado wants to win this game. They want the Big 12 this season. They have a lot of seniors that will be leaving the team, and if they win this game, that's going to catapult them into the top 25. This is going to be a close one. Right now, Kansas State has a 52.1% chance to win this game. They are 4-point favorites, and the over-under is 58.5. This is going to be a high-scoring game. This game could very well come down to whoever possesses the ball last at the end of the game. Both of these offenses can move the ball. Kansas State, they're averaging 31.4 per game. They have Avery Johnson at the quarterback position, the highest recruited quarterback in Kansas State history. He runs with purpose, not the best passer. That's the weakness for Kansas State. Right now, they're throwing for 185.2. One of the best rushing teams in the nation, running for 252.2. But Colorado has shown when they beat UCF, they can beat heavy rush-reliant teams. But it's Kansas State's defense. They're only giving up 19.6 points a game. They are physical at the line of scrimmage. Can they get pressure on Shedeur Sanders? Right now, the Buffaloes, they average 31 points a game. Shedeur Sanders closing in on 1,700 yards, 16 touchdowns, 4 picks. They throw for 349. Their weakness is their running game. Still one of the worst in the country, running for 80.6 points a game. Their defense is much improved over last year's team. They're only giving up 23 points a game. Their D-line is actually getting a lot of pressure on opposing quarterbacks. Can they shut down Kansas State's limited pass game, force Johnson into some mistakes? Can they bottle him up, keep him from running? Because when he runs for 15, 20 yards every carry. Looking at Kansas State, they have Johnson, they have DJ Giddens closing in on 700 yards rushing. They love to run the ball with the quarterback. With the running back, they have Brown at wide receiver. Shedeur Sanders, obviously, they have the playmakers. They have Hunter. They have Horn. They have a great wide receiver core. Hunter, obviously one of the most electric players in all of college football. This game is going to be close. This is a 50-50 game. It could go either way. I don't want to go anywhere near this game because it's going to be whoever has the ball last. I don't want to count Colorado out because of Shedeur Sanders, because of what he can do vertically pushing the ball down the field. He's shown fourth quarter heroics. Kansas State's shown they can be beaten. Can Kansas State play Colorado like Nebraska did? That's a massive question. I have Kansas State winning this one, 31-27. That's a push right there, but that spread keeps coming down every single day, so I think it will drop by the time that we get to game day. I have this game just slightly going under, but I wouldn't be surprised if that also drops. But this game's tough. It could come down to that final possession. It's just going to be a fun one to watch. And if you're up that late to watch the Colorado game, then you might as well also watch the Boise State game at 11 p.m. on CBS. Number 17, Boise 4-1. They have the most electrifying player in all of college football. They have Gianti, who's also the number 1 running back in all of college football. It's not even close. He's a one-man machine. He's fast. He's physical. They'll be on the road playing 2 and 3 Hawaii. Boise right now has a 88.2% chance to win this game. They are 20.5 point favorites, massive spread. The over-under here is 61.5. Boise averages 50.6 points a game. That's top 3 in the nation. They throw for 240.4. They run for 301.2 yards per game, and you definitely see why. Their defense leaves some things to be desired. They give up 30 points a game, 308 passing yards. There will be opportunities for Hawaii to throw the ball. They are a run-heavy team. They throw for 283. Sorry, they are a pass-heavy team. They pass for 283.8. Their offense, on average, 24.2 points a game. They got to get those numbers up to keep up with Boise State's offense, and their defense gives up 19 a game. For Boise, they have Matson, but they have Genty closing in on 1,100 yards through the first 5 games. He already has 16 touchdowns. It's crazy. If they continue to win, they could represent the group of 5 in that final 12, and he could be a potential Heisman contending running back right now. I have Boise just running all over Hawaii. He's way too much to handle. I have Boise winning this one 44-21, covering the massive spread, and I'm going with the over. So that's our breakdown. That's our best bets for week 7 of the 2024 college football season. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you're subscribed. If you have any comments about these games or anything else, drop them below and I will respond. Thank you for watching.